Hello and a very warm welcome to World Stories. I'm Layla Harak with your weekly International Reporters magazine. In the next half hour, we ride waves in the Moroccan Riviera, see how clean water can save lives in the Republic of Congo, hear about Middle East karate breaking down barriers, and learn about the art of mixing a good cocktail in Vietnam. But we start with a story that comes to us from Chile. The South American nation is an emerging economic powerhouse, rich in natural resources that have firmly put it on the global map. But there's also another side. Across the country, there are sprawling slums, mazes of tiny huts with no toilets or running water. This is where the poverty-stricken people live that have been left behind. But a Chilean grassroots organization aims to change all that. Un Techo para Chile, a roof for Chile, is an NGO dedicated to building emergency housing for the poor. Since its beginnings, the Techo movement has spread, and UCV TV's Malena Rodriguez Suarez found out it's now providing shelter for the poor all over Latin America.
Shantytowns are common in Chile. Their inhabitants live in squalor, deprived of basic amenities, but in many ways their lives are gradually improving.
At a time when the deplorable living conditions of Chile's poorest made dreams of a better life seem out of reach, one group of young Chileans held on to their faith in a better future. They started an initiative named Un Techo para Chile, or A Roof for Chile.
Y comenzaron a actuar bajo el nombre Un Techo para Chile.
Since its humble beginnings, the project has gone from strength to strength. It all started in 1997, when a group of students from the Concepcion area, led by Jesuit priest Father Felipe Barrio, came together to restore a church. Moved by the poverty of the local people, they started building houses for the families worst affected. They worked together with the community to find solutions to specific problems. In cooperation with the Jesuits, a new organization was formed that would later take the name A Roof for Chile. It aimed to increase justice in society and decrease poverty. The group's work goes beyond setting up provisional shelters to helping people who live in squalid conditions develop functioning communities.
In the 8 years we've been working with Techo, they've been the only ones who've helped us. They helped us pave the roads, set up social networks, and improve the education of our children. They provided us with the tools we needed to build workshops. We've learned how to make ceramic pots, process chocolate, and now we weave fabric. That's helping us to improve our living conditions because we can now set up mini factories. All this is happening thanks to Techo's help.
This work started 15 years ago with the efforts of just a few volunteers who felt the need to get something going with the poor families here. In the beginning, they were supported by the Jesuit priest Felipe del Rio. Right from the start, we've been able to count on the support of the Jesuit order.
The nerve center of the organization's activities is this meeting table. The various projects are coordinated from here. Volunteers meet with representatives of the various settlements to analyze the specific conditions in each area. They seek solutions to problems with housing, education, work, and other things essential to the development of each community.
Poverty is not just a problem in Chile. It affects much of the world, but it's especially prevalent in Latin America. The courage and dedication of young people have helped expand the Roof for Chile initiative. Now there are partner organizations operating under the name Techo all over the continent.
The project grew, and more people got involved. They wanted to change the reality of people's lives in Chile. That inspired young people from other Latin American countries that had suffered major earthquakes, El Salvador and Peru, to imitate what we're doing in their own areas. Since then, Techo has expanded throughout Latin America, launching projects to combat poverty. Today, we have offices in 20 countries, including in the U.S., where young people are working with their country's poorest communities to change their situations.
Now, after 15 years of hard work, Techo has become a force to be reckoned with. It has around 500,000 volunteers, including about 8,600 specialists, working all across North and South America. Some 15,000 children have participated in educational programs organized with its help, and over 3,300 dwellings have been built. Techo has long since moved on from providing shelter for the poorest of the poor and taken on the eradication of poverty itself. Today's Techo provides a framework for many youngsters and people from all walks of life to get involved and gain awareness of their potential to affect positive change. Their faith in a better world raises their society's awareness of the challenges involved, a first step toward pushing them to the top of the political agenda.
Well, to Morocco now, where a small coastal town is quickly becoming the place to go surfing. The stretch of North Atlantic coastline between Tangier and Azila attracts many visitors during the summer for its pristine beaches and abundant sunshine. And lately, there's been a surf boom with more and more young Moroccans taking to their surfboards, riding waves and even setting up a surf club. It may not be Hawaii, but they aspire to turn Azila into North Africa's surf city. Al Arabiya Hussein Atout checked out the surf scene for us and spent the day on the beach.
In its 3,500-year history, the coastal community of Azila on Morocco's northern tip has been a trading port, a pirate's nest, and a fishing village. Now it's a resort town and a surfer's paradise. Early in the morning, young men gather in a cafe to discuss the weather and anything else relevant to riding the waves, how big and fast they are, and how strong the wind is. They get most of that information from an internet site that closely tracks weather developments. The first leg of the journey is a 15-minute drive by bus to a village about 5 kilometers down the coast from Azila. The surfers pack their boards, kits, and enough food and drink for the day. The second leg of the trip begins at an intersection outside the village. From here, it's about half an hour's walk to the beach. The surfers are loaded down with boards and provisions, but getting there is part of the fun. And there's a great view of the sea. A pleasant ocean breeze welcomes the surfers. The beach Kaf al-Hammam is famous for its golden sand, clear blue water, and the mountains surrounding it on 3 sides. Now it's time to unpack and get ready to go out. A couple of young men set up the tent where they can sit out the afternoon heat after the morning surfing. Others get their boards ready to go. Some parts were homemade to save money. Since boards are generally made of high-quality materials, surfing is an expensive sport. Many of the surfers are students who are hardly able to afford first-class equipment. Despite widespread youth unemployment in Morocco, more and more young people are catching the waves in Azila. Getting hooked on surfing is better than becoming dependent on the hashish that's freely available here.
At first, I was the only one surfing here in Azila. Then we formed a club, and now our membership has risen to 25. That's motivated us to expand our activities.
Financial support from Europe has helped the surfers acquire equipment.
We found that the funding we received from the French club Surfer Solidaire led to an increase in the numbers of people practicing the sport here.
Before the young people take off for the waves, they prepare a meal they'll need to get their strength back after a hard riding session. Most often, it's a fish and vegetable casserole left simmering on a low flame until the surfers are ready to eat. Surfing takes intense concentration and endurance. Warm-up exercises before going out are a must.
Once both the food and the young men are warm enough, the surfers make for the sea.
Just as a fisherman waits for the right fish, it's important to wait for the right wave. Each one has a character all its own, and the only way to learn to recognize it is lots of experience. Once a surfer's riding the wave, he carves left and right as if dancing across its surface, trying to stay up as long as possible. Some rides work out better than others. But surfers often say the fleeting feeling of freedom and exuberance is indescribable. The young surfers are putting a lot of effort into getting their Kaf al-Hammam club for wave riders off the ground. Some might hope to compete internationally, or at least to receive more recognition for talent in the sport.
We'd like to see more support from the local authorities and the specialized sports clubs, so we'll have greater motivation and be able to achieve more.
It's lunchtime. The youngsters trickle back from the sea and gather around an old surfboard that functions as a table. It's time for a well-earned meal and some conversation. They eat Moroccan style from one shallow pot in the center. After lunch, they take time to relax and enjoy the beach.
We stay in Africa for our next story. Last year, a cholera epidemic gripped the Democratic Republic of Congo. The deadly waterborne disease spread like wildfire via the contaminated waters of the Congo River to the much smaller neighboring country, the Republic of Congo. Thousands of people there were infected and hundreds died. The good news is that cholera is preventable, and if the sick are treated quickly, they can survive. So now the United Nations and the World Health Organization have joined forces together to fight off this deadly disease by trying to fix the problem of dirty water and by teaching basic hygiene. UNTV's Guy Hubert sent this report.
The Congo River, one of the world's mightiest waterways, has for centuries carried people and goods through some of Africa's most inaccessible rainforests. It also carries disease. Last year, a cholera outbreak in the Northern Democratic Republic of Congo spread down and across the river into the neighboring country. Particularly hard hit was Isle Mbamo, a large island about an hour from its capital, Brazzaville. It has 13 villages. When cholera hit, people here had no idea what it was or where it came from. Dimitri Fabrice Okulakami, a local fisherman, lost his nephew to the disease.
For my nephew, when he started having diarrhea, he became like a skeleton. Within a half a day, he died.
Dimitri mourns his nephew and understands his parents' pain. He, too, almost lost his own son, Stuart, to cholera.
It started at 3 a.m. By 8 a.m., he had lost weight and became like a skeleton. I thought, no, I must go to Brazzaville.
Stuart was lucky. After 6 days in hospital, he recovered fully. The island has no running water and very few latrines. It's the perfect place for cholera to thrive. When the outbreak hit Brazzaville, squatter settlements like Sieme Bridge with poor sanitation were the worst hit. Latrines here feed directly into the same stream in which children play and people bathe. John Didiu Konongo, cholera specialist, World Health Organization.
Cholera is a disease linked to poor hygiene, a disease caused by poor sanitation, a disease caused by lack of access to water. It is called the dirty hands disease.
In response to the outbreak, UNICEF and the World Health Organization, with financing from the United Nations Central Emergency Response Fund, have launched initiatives to combat cholera. Marianne Flatch, UNICEF representative for the Republic of Congo.
The Central Emergency Response Fund has been very vital in bringing quickly assistance to the areas that were affected by cholera. It's a population that needs a lot of our assistance, and we often forget about them.
On Isle Mbamo, there are now chlorination points where workers have been trained to purify water from the Congo River that households use. Latrines have been built in public spaces like markets and schools. A social mobilization program is now teaching villagers the importance of hygiene. Children are learning about washing their hands with soap and using the new latrines. As the next rainy season is fast approaching, the potential for new outbreaks of waterborne diseases like cholera continues to be a threat. With better sanitation and clean water, communities along the Congo River will now stand a better chance of protecting themselves and their families.
Last November, during the Karate World Championships in Sydney, Australia, some 800 athletes from 50 countries competed for gold. But one team made up of Palestinians and Israelis was fighting for more than a medal or a belt, using martial arts to break down political, cultural, and religious barriers. These athletes were kicking their way to peaceful coexistence. Members of the Budo for Peace martial arts group pack a mean punch and chop. But as World News Australia's Suhail Damouni found out, their biggest strength is bringing people together.
Abed al-Salame, a Palestinian, prepares for an attack against his opponent, Danny Hakim, a Jewish Australian. These karate black belt holders have the potential to inflict pain on each other, but in fact, they're a perfect team. They belong to the group called Budo for Peace, a Middle East martial arts organization dedicated to the peaceful coexistence of Jews and Arabs.
We don't look at ID cards. We look at the way the athletes dress, their neatness, and what's in their hearts. We don't ask about their religion or nationality.
That's breaking down prejudices, even in light of the recent violence.
A lot of people said we shouldn't do it, it's not the right time. There's never the right time, but there's always the right time to try and, project the vision of peace.
The group teaches values like kindness and self-control in Hebrew, Arabic, and English.
The underlying message of Budo for Peace is to maintain courtesy and respect. That's why these athletes are able to fight fiercely while maintaining their friendship outside the arena.
Hanan Droshi is an Arab who lives and works in Israel. She wants to show that both cultures can learn to coexist through sport.
We have a special language for us, so we can talk together with the martial arts. So we can do this cooperation with martial arts. And that's unique, what we do in Budo for Peace.
The Japanese word Budo literally means the way of stopping conflict, a language that these students are keen to teach others.
Some friends will say, why should you do such a thing? Like the Palestinians are sending missiles at us and stuff. And I tell them that's not true. We are all Israeli. We all live in Israel. It doesn't matter if we're Arab, Christian, Jewish. We all live in Israel.
Living side by side, this group is linked by love and respect.
Well, it's cocktail hour in Vietnam, and for a special concoction with a unique twist, we head to Vietnam's mixologist of the year. Nguyen Thien Thiep masters the art and craft of the cocktail and knows a thing or two about how to mix a mean stiff drink. His award-winning Joan Baez Cocktail is an experiment with ingredients from the popular Vietnamese noodle dish pho, named after the legendary American folk singer-songwriter and anti-war activist. The mix is inventive and hugely popular. VTV's Hoang Vu Hinh took a taste test.
For those of you who know about cocktail and its history, you can easily tell that a cocktail is a kind of alcoholic mixture drink that contains 2 or more ingredients in it. And it is originated from Britain. And for those of you who ever tried Vietnamese cuisine, especially pho, may remember about the aroma of these special dishes. Why I am mentioning about these 2 dishes coming from 2 places that are so far from each other, well, I'm going to show you a person who can bring these 2 places closer to each other by cuisine. So let's go to meet him.
One day, after having pho for breakfast in Hanoi, bartender Nguyen Thien Thiep decided to create a cocktail that tasted just like it. The traditional noodle soup containing meat and herbs originated in Hanoi and has been popular there since the early 20th century. After the Vietnam War, pho was transported to other countries by refugees. Thiep's drink was also inspired by the popular protest music of the Vietnam War era.
When I heard a recording of the bombs falling on my city so many years ago, and the angelic voice of Joan Baez, I got the idea to make a drink by dropping the ingredients like bombs into cups suspended from a tree. Then I had pho for breakfast one day, and I decided to use the dish's ingredients to create the flavor.
The cocktail contains 5 herbs: coriander, cardamom, star anise, cinnamon, and chili. The same ingredients used in pho. Star anise is crushed and put into the topmost cup. The cup below is filled with cardamom. Cinnamon goes into the cup at the bottom. The arrangement of the cups is very important. The order in which the ingredients are mixed will affect the final flavor. With the cups prepared and in position, Thiep pours burning alcohol into the topmost cup on the tree. It filters through the ingredients, flowing downwards from cup to cup. Then he adds coriander, lemon, and chili to a glass to make the drink really smell like pho. Finally, all the ingredients are mixed together.
I practiced a lot. I tried lots of different kinds of gin to get it to taste and smell like pho. Blending Vietnamese cuisine with a European-style cocktail is difficult. The gin must be a bit sour, like lemon, and the proportions must be right. I've had some failures, but now my customers can really taste the pho.
Thiep's creation has been a great success. Word has spread, and now a growing number of tourists are turning up at his bar in Hanoi to sample the cocktail.
And usually I don't like coriander that much, but this drink is very nice. I can feel the fusion between Europe and Asia.
And after also drink this cocktail, like holistic cocktail, you know, and emotional is very, very strong. And make the happy, you can smell spicy, sugar, so many tastes together, like feng shui, you know, its balance is very good for body. I think I like this one, yeah.
Thiep named his invention the Joan Baez Cocktail after the iconic musician who inspired it. Its Vietnamese flavors, coupled with an unusual mixing technique, earned him first prize in a competition in the city of Nha Trang last summer. He then went on to compete in a world-class Bartender of the Year contest in Rio. He's now busy creating other cocktails inspired by his beloved Hanoi and its cuisine.
Well, we'll drink to that. And with that, we've come to the end of this edition of World Stories. From all of us here and our partner stations around the world, thanks for watching. Don't forget to watch this show again. Head to our website at dw.de/worldstories. We're going to leave you now with this week's Fix of the World. We hope to see you right back here next week.